back to the J-Cation Travel Podcast. My name is Jason Paul, and this is episode number 10. Hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. I was recently on the Paramedic Unscripted podcast where I was talking to my friend and fellow traveler, Bobby, and we were discussing the different times to travel during the year. With Thanksgiving just passing, it's something that I've always wanted to do with my family, was to be good to go on a cruise with all my family and enjoy a Thanksgiving dinner or something of the sort with different holidays, and not having to do any of the cleanup and just having all the fun. So without further ado, I wanted to play that clip, and it might give you some ideas or maybe make you think a little different ways as you're trying to plan your next cruise. So here we go. Yeah, I've been telling my wife too for a while. I wanted, like, kind of like what you said. I want to try, because I love cruising. We already know this stuff, but I want to do a cruise ship like Thanksgiving. Like, I think that'd be fucking phenomenal. Because again,
Right.
they're gonna make all the food. You know, it's gonna be fucking A plus.
Right.
You know, and you don't have to do any cleaning and dishes and stuff like that. And you can, you know, of course, like it's cruise line, you can eat as much as you want or whatever you want. You can have doubles and whatever certain things if you want. Like, no one cares. And I think that'd be really fun. I'm trying to convince my wife to do that one year. We'll see. We'll see if that works out.
My wife actually did that. It was the Christmas before we met.
Oh, really?
And her best friend. Yeah, her and her best friend did I don't think it was Royal. I think it was Celebrity, or might have been Carnival, but it might have been Royal. I'm not sure. But yeah, they did that for Christmas.
That's cool.
Christmas. They said it was just a freaking blast.
Yeah, I know as a travel agent, they're more expensive, obviously, because you're paying for that experience. On any of the major holidays and stuff like that, but it would be phenomenal. You know what I mean? Like we had before all this pandemic crap started, my wife's birthday is on July 4th, and we had planned a cruise that was going to be on her birthday. Like, her birthday would be, I don't remember if it was the first or second day, I don't remember anymore. But so, I mean, how cool was that? I was like, you're getting to spend this, birthday on a cruise ship with friends, with family, and like, how fun would that be? You know what I mean? And it's like, and of course, it's, I mean, if anybody who's never been on a cruise ship, I go on 7-night cruises. It's a 7-night party. That's all it is. It's a huge party. You just have fun. You do whatever you want. It's relaxing as hell, or as strenuous as you want it to be, depending on what you like to do. And it's just a lot of fun. I was like, wow, that'd be awesome. I'd love to do a birthday cruise for me, but it's mine just during the my daughter's school year, so it's a little hard, to do that.
It's so crazy, Jason.
Yeah, I think that's awesome though. I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to
kidding.
I'd love to hear your wife's like take on that, because that's really cool. Because I know that's a big deal. A lot of people like doing that, especially New Year's and stuff like that. Because if you do it right, depending on how the weeks fall in the year, you might be able to get a Christmas, New Year's, because it could all be on the same leg. You know what I mean? Depending. So
right, and she said, it was like I said, I think it was the Christmas before we met, and her and her friend were both single. And they both lived right near each other, and they both didn't have anything going on. So they're like, "Screw it, let's do this." And they went out in the Caribbean for Christmas, and it was I don't think it was a 7-day cruise. I think it was like a 5-day.
Yeah, 5 or 4 day or something. Yeah, you can do that ones too. Yeah.
Just kind of a kind of a quick trip, or quick for a cruise anyway.
Yeah.
And they loved it. They had a great time, and it was like, at that particular time, since they had nothing going on, it was a perfect thing to do.
Well, yeah, like if you live in Florida, now again with the pandemic stuff that happened, everything's a little crazy, and everybody's slowly bringing their ships back and all that other stuff. But it's like there's a lot of, before there were specific cruise ships that would do, like, instead of doing a 7-day, they do a 4-day, then a 3-day, then a 4-day, then a 3-day. So it's still, they're just breaking it up. So yeah, you could actually go for like a weekend.
Right.
That way, that's pretty awesome if you live in Florida. If you have to, fly down there or drive down there, you might want to get a little more time than 3 or 4 days potentially. But yeah, it's perfect if you're in that area or can get down there fairly cheap. That's awesome.
Hey man, I'm always game for a cruise.
Yeah, I love cruising, man. We need to do it. We need to do one together. Like, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, because I mean, and this is just my opinion, but I think cruises, especially the amount of mileage that you cover in a short amount of time, and as many places that you go, and it's all inclusive, obviously, except for when it comes to your excursions or alcohol or whatnot.
Yeah,
it you can't beat it.
Well, it's funny.
For what you get to do.
It's funny you say that.
Yeah, I'm gonna plug once again because I love them. Pound for pound, and again, this is my opinion. Pound for pound, if you're gonna cruise, the best cruise line you can go on, and I'm sure Jason will agree, is Royal Caribbean.
Oh yeah, A+. Yeah, my wife.
I mean, the best for the money. I mean, literally. I mean, it's just first class all the way, and for the money, and just the employees are great. They're nice. Everybody that works for them. I've never been on Royal Caribbean where I've never met an asshole.
Yeah.
The only asshole I've met like on a cruise was probably, another patron of the cruise. That's probably because they were drunk off their ass.
Right.
And they didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
But I mean, it was just, you can't beat it.
Yeah, my wife said that actually we went to, I don't know, right before COVID, we went down to the beach in Gulf Shores, Alabama area, and we were going down there, and we had the whole week, we had the resort thing and all that stuff, and we were doing all that, and then we were driving around to go get dinner one night, and I would love to go on a cruise like twice a year easily. My wife wants to like do that, but then do other things too. So we're driving around though, getting dinner, and we had to drive out a little bit further than we thought to go get this restaurant we want to go to, whatever. And we're driving, and then she's like, "Yeah," she's like, "I've been thinking about it, and I actually have to agree with you that I think cruising is definitely the most economical like way to do a cruise ship. I mean, a vacation."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah," and she's like, "Yeah," because I was just thinking like we of course we booked the hotel already and whatever. We had all that stuff set up on the beach, and then and then you're driving around, obviously, because we brought our car down there. And then it was like, oh, and then we had to pay every time we went out to eat. You have to pay for stuff. And she's like, yeah, this adds up, And I was like, yeah. Whereas but on a cruise, you would just pay this one amount. And then if you want to add a couple things like alcohol package or excursions, like you said, you can add a couple.
Which is worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I think that's we can have a whole discussion about that. I have a whole podcast about that, but yeah, like it's just, I was like, yeah, it's a great way to like just budget. If people like to budget stuff, it's awesome. And it's not as opposed to like a all-inclusive resort, which those are great as well, but those you're just at the resort, which is nice. I'm not saying it's not nice, but you're not going anywhere else. Whereas this one, you go to all these different stops, so kind of cool, depending on what you like. It just depends on what you like to do and stuff like that.
And believe it or not, some of the most fun, parts of the trip are when you're just out at sea.
Yeah.
Not when you go into port. Like for instance, and the other thing is too, say there's like a particular port that, you're not very fond of, it's like, I could give or take this. It's like, you're not there for that long before you're off to somewhere else. So it's a win-win situation.
Well,
like for instance, I'm going to use this as an example, and people might get pissed off, but that's okay. Last cruise I went on, I ran around, in the Caribbean. I went to the side of the Caribbean where I went to Haiti, to
Labadee,
to Jamaica. Yeah, I went to Labadee, which is Haiti.
Yeah.
Which the cool thing when we were in Haiti was when we first got to Labadee, we jet skied around that part of the island. And of course, it's not that far. The cool thing is it happened to be Columbus Day when we were there, and we were jet skiing around the island, and we stopped for a second, and our guide was like, where you guys are just kind of coasting right now is one of the first places in the Caribbean that Columbus hit.
That's cool.
In the route to discover what we know now as, America. And I thought, just at that particular time, I'm like, that's pretty badass,
Yeah.
And but plus it looks like you're in Treasure Island, at that part of Haiti. It looks like you're in Treasure Island. So and it's a particular part of the island that Royal Caribbean owns. So but went from there to we went to Ocho Rios, Jamaica. Oh, actually, no, we went to the next stop was Grand Cayman. In Grand Cayman, okay. I like the Cayman Islands, but Grand Cayman, not really my thing unless you're out in the water, But like being on the land itself, I mean, it's you're in town. There's a lot of banks. There's a lot of touristy stuff, and that's just not my thing.
Yeah.
I'd rather be out more on the real parts of the island where, I guess I should say the local portions, that you get the real deal, or out in the water. I mean, the cool thing about Grand Cayman was that's where we took the boats out, probably about a 30-minute trip out into the middle of the water to where then the boats would create a circle. There's like a sandbar out in the middle of the Caribbean, right off the island, and, probably about 30 minutes out, there's a sandbar where the boats would congregate, and that's where the stingrays would come up, and you could swim with the stingrays.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was just, they would just come right up on you, and it was great. But that was, even though it was beautiful, Grand Cayman was probably except for the stingray portion of it, Grand Cayman was probably my least favorite part of the trip.
Yeah, we do the same thing, like you said. Like I don't like tourist traps. I've never liked that. Yeah. Not even just with cruising, just with anything. Like, y'all know that, like, people come to visit people from out of town come to visit where you live, and then they're like, oh, like, especially like I grew up in the DC area, and so people are like, oh, you want to go to the memorial? No, not really.
No.
Do you want to go to the Smithsonian? No, not really. So like it's the same sort of thing. So with us, like we said, we always do 7-night cruises. We're doing a 8-night coming up, but we do 7-night. Well, on those, you usually have 3, maybe 4 stops, right? We always pick 1 or 2 of the stops to stay on the ships, because the ships are like, they're countries in themselves, and there's so much to do on those.
They really are.
Yeah, because I've only been on Oasis class ships because I love the Oasis class ships. And there's so much to do on there that, like, when you have a port day like that, and like for instance, we'll skip, I'm having a brain fart here, Nassau. Right? Because we've been to Nassau tons of times. So we don't, like, that one, we'll be like, unless we have like some excursion we really want to do or something. And we've also done those before. But if we just not in the mood, we'll just stay there. Or like Falmouth, Jamaica or something like that. It's like, there's not much going on there. So we'll stay on the ship and then let the other people get off. And then we'll go enjoy the pools and all that other stuff and do all that other kind of stuff without lines, or stuff like that. So it's just your thing. And I told my wife, I said, she's like, what would be your ultimate cruise? I said, my ultimate cruise would be to, like, leave Fort Lauderdale or wherever, Port Canaveral, something like that, and then go out in the ocean and spin around in circles for 7 days and then come back. Like, because then you don't have to do it. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. Cause that's like, you're paying for all, and that's why I do like, the private islands. Like you said, like now they have like Coco Cay and all that stuff. Like, that's cool because that then becomes a cool destination, because all your shit that you paid for on the cruise, for instance, your internet package, your drink package, stuff like that all works there. Because otherwise, if you stop at like Falmouth, Jamaica, let's say, and you get off because you're like, oh, I want to go check this thing out or whatever, anything you do while you're on the island, you have to pay for. If you want to stop and get some food, you want to get a drink, you got to pay for that out of pocket, even though you already paid to have it on the ship for free as much as you want. You now have to pay on top of it. So it's like, I'm not saying it's horrible, but it's something to consider, whereas when you're on the ship, it's just like, whatever you want to do, man. Yeah, just go do it. Can we go do this? Yeah.
Well, go there and like you said, Jason, these ships are like basically like a country in themselves. It's like it literally is a floating city.
Yeah, Oasis class ships with their staff on board as well, including the staff. It's like 10,000 people on that ship, but you'll never know it. You don't. There's no, like, they design those ships so well and so much stuff to do that it keeps everybody spread out, and like, you don't really notice. There's not a huge, like, the pool decks are kind of crowded like any cruise ship because, but even then they have like 4 pools on the pool deck, so they're even taking that all those people that like to, I'm not one of those people, but those people that like to just get there at 6 a.m. and lay in the sun for 14 hours or whatever. That sounds horrible to me, but people like to do that. Even those people have to be spread out in 4 different zones. You know what I mean?
Right.
And even then, the Royal, the way it's designed on those, they have so many areas. Yeah, you might not be right at the pool edge, but you can sit like 5 feet back or 6 feet back, 10 feet back, whatever, and always find somewhere to lay down and do whatever if you like to do that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I don't know how we got on a travel podcast here, but yeah, it's cool, man.
What the hell is this? Is this like travel unscripted?
Yeah. Shout out.
But if anybody from Royal Caribbean is listening to this, we love you all. Give us a shout out.
Yeah, and shameless plug for the J-Cation Travel Podcast. Anyway,
wait, what?
The J-Cation Travel Podcast. I heard they're pretty cool.
Who's that?
I have no idea.
Wait, isn't that sponsored by White Claw?
And truly, so that is it for this week. Thanks again for listening to the J-Cation Travel Podcast, and thanks to my friend Bobby for giving his input on cruising and talking about him and what his wife has done in the past. And hopefully what we can do together in the future. It'd be a lot of fun. Thanks again for listening. Thanks again for your continued support. We're growing a little bit every day, and I appreciate personally every single one of you. If there's anything I can do for you, or if you have any specific travel questions, don't hesitate to reach out for me at jason@jcation.com. That's Jason, Jason, @jcation.com. And I'll be sure to answer those on the show. Also, if you'd like to support the show, you can find out how to do so in the notes below. And other than that, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next week on the J-Cation Travel Podcast. See ya!